be very careful. You're going. Owen, we don't have to talk about this right now. But I'm just saying. I'm man to man. Be very careful. How do they take control of us? Well, they keep us sick, right? And how do they do that? Like, in case you're wondering it, you may not be sick. You might just be vitamin D deficient, right? So there's fatigue, there's bone pain, there's muscle weaknesses, there's mood changes. Where sunglasses make brain think you're in the shade and do not trigger the correct process of absorption. If everybody's wearing sunglasses, they're not absorbing any of the sun. You're not getting the essential nutrients which God has set us up for, which your body craves and desires. So that's why I said be very careful when you're saying about Christ conscious and what that actually means. Because the way you're using it, it's not the correct way that they use it.
Welcome back, everybody. We are back in the DC headquarters for episode 91. We're approaching the 90 categories. Man. 91. How do you feel about that?
Old.
Who knew like 90 episodes?
I don't know. Like when we started this podcast, I had the idea, like, we were going to talk more about real estate stuff too, and it just kind of spawned into something else.
Took its own life.
Its own life, yeah. And I love that because it's like, I always say to people, it's like, if you want to know about my real estate stuff, I do videos and we talk about that. But there's everybody else.
There's more to you.
I'm like, your top 5 things to sell in your house, like what you need to do. And like stages, like I think everybody and their sisters like, before you get it, like I did those too. Don't get me wrong. If you want to know real estate stuff, always DM me. I love talking about real estate. But this is my other side of my personality. You get to see, like, you get my thoughts. And again, the idea is like, you're not always, I keep telling people over and over again, you're not supposed to agree with everything I say, but I have done a lot of research on this stuff. And this is kind of how my opinions form. And if I haven't done the research on it, I say, this is what I've heard. Don't quote me on it. But there's still things that are left open up, like, so some people think we're crazy for doing this, and they don't, Anna Fucci always says, don't use the C word because you're not crazy. You're just voicing opinions, and like, don't put that in people's heads. But I'm just like, but I have been called not names, and it is what it is, right? Like, I'm not going to shy out who I am. And I think that's just getting comfortable in your own skin.
And sometimes having thoughts that are different from other people, you're called, crazy for having that thought. Right, it's a thought.
Well, that's what I wonder what people are going to say about this episode. What you had the idea for?
So the controversial thing that people seem to have these days is the idea of sunscreen. Summer is just coming to an end. We're entering September right now, and I'll give you a background on me, right? So DC, as you can see, I'm black.
What?
I know. I'm
not working with a black person.
Yeah, but I'm being told. So I grew up in Nairobi for about 10 years. Never needed sunscreen. And in Africa, we have like the most intense heat. Like we're living in hot weather. And we never used to wear sunscreen. I mean, never even considered wearing sunscreen, even as a kid. So when I moved to Canada, I'm being told that, hey, bro, like you need to wear, I'm being put in daycare. Yeah. So this is back in 2003.
And I'll add to the story.
And I'm like, why am I wearing sunscreen? Like the sun is not as intense as it's back home. So I never really got the idea of sunscreen. So I grew up avoiding sunscreen. I went to Mexico, like I was under the sun. I mean, I got like a nice rich brown color on me. My skin never got burnt. So I was confused where this whole sunscreen phenomenon came from.
Yeah. Well, I want to add to that too. Are you done with that? I want to
No, I just want to set the precedence for this idea of sunscreen, where as humanity advanced for hundreds of years, did this thing exist? How did they live without sunscreen? Because the sun, as we're going to talk about in this episode, DC, the sun is actually
essential.
Is essential.
It's essential for our immune system. It's
Everything.
Essential to live. It's essential for so many things. I think I've told you before, my friends Patrick and Angela, that they adopted a child from Africa. And long story short, when they who got paired up with this child, he was a baby. And for some reason, Canada shut down the borders. And then after 2 years, they said, "Oh, are you still interested in adopting?" Because they had given up hope. And they said, "Well, is our son?" They said, "Call him our son available." His name's Ryan. And they're like, "Believe it or not, they weren't." Yeah, he goes, "He's still available." Like, then we'll adopt him. And the kid's amazing, by the way. Like,
proper guy,
phenomenal athlete, like the nicest kid in the world. Like, of course, his parents are phenomenal people. Of course, they're friends of mine.
High school guy.
I think he's entering grade 8 or high school. I can't remember if he's in between my daughter's age or his same. I think he's in between. I think he's grade 8 this year. Anyway, the reason why I'm bringing him up is 2 years old. They bring him. They're like never put sunscreen on, from Africa. They're like, what? He goes, his skin doesn't need sunscreen. You're white. You might need it. His skin doesn't need sunscreen. Don't put sunscreen on him. And he was telling me this. This was, wow, the kid's what, 13 now? And this is like 11 years ago. I never knew that. And I'm like, that is so interesting, right? Because we were always hammered with, no, I can't even say that. Because when we were kids, we never wore sunscreen. Like we wore it once in a while, we get burned. I'm like, yeah, you probably should have put a little bit on. But we didn't, first of all, like the varying degrees. It wasn't that big of a thing for us. Like Italians, we'd go out and like, the sun and like playing. I remember being in Florida and like my brother getting burnt because he's the white brother, we call him. Like as you go down, the oldest brother is the white one with blonde hair and green eyes. And then the middle brother is a little bit darker with dark hair, blue eyes. And I'm like dark skin, dark eye. So I never had to worry about it, but the white brother got burned in Florida right away. But anyway, our point was that our kids never lather us up. Like, so our parents never worried so much about sunscreen. It wasn't until I got older, and I remember one time being in Mexico when Natalie and I broke up. I wasn't getting good enough sun. I'm like, what the hell am I putting sunscreen on? So one day I spent 12 hours in the sun. Okay, I burned. So I could see that. That wasn't smart. Overexposure to the sun is obviously not good, right? You're not supposed to be doing that. I don't care what color you are. That's what could lead to issues. But yes, like sunscreen before 1932 never existed. So it's interesting to see. So there's a stat. So Milton Blake in 1932 formulated with the UV filter phenolcycline, whatever it's called, as a concentration of 10%. Its protection was verified by the University of Adelaide. And in 1936, L'Oreal released its first sunscreen product, formulated by French chemist Eugene Schuller. The U.S. military was an early adopter of sunscreen. So let me ask you a question. The idea for sunscreen was to protect your skin and your skin from cancer. Do you know what the correlation between sunscreen and cancer has been and melanoma?
The correlation, like the percentage increase, or like cancer or sunscreen contributing to cancer, like what percentage is it?
It's almost identical. As the usage of sunscreen went up, look at the graph.
Wow.
It shows almost like a direct line. The more people use sunscreen, the more skin cancer.
See, this is...
And here's the fucked up thing about it. My mom had skin cancer on her leg.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And they cut like a big chunk out of her leg and stuff too, and they had to go deep into it.
So did they take skin and replace it, or?
I think so. And then we had my friend also. I've had a couple of friends who've had skin cancer.
Yeah.
Now, the funny thing is where the skin cancer is, it seems to be all in their legs. There's a reason why I'm bringing that up. So my mom, when she had skin cancer, so mom's gained weight throughout the years. I remember her being 35. I remember after 40, she started gaining weight, and she just never felt comfortable as she was gaining weight. So now tomorrow she will be, so at the time of this recording, so it'll be 2 weeks later after this is revealed, she's turning 74. So she's had cancer, I think it was maybe 8 years ago, something like that. She had skin. Maybe my dad was still alive 10 years ago. Anyway, it was a while ago. So she hadn't been in the sun in over something like 20 years. And she's saying, I haven't been in the sun. How do I have skin cancer on my upper thigh? And the doctor's like, again, they don't really know. No one really knows where skin cancer comes from. The idea was, well, your exposure to sun should cause skin cancer, right? And again, there is some degree to that if your skin has caused damage by overexposure, maybe. But this is an area my mom never saw. And you know what the doctor said? He goes, well, maybe when you were a kid, you got burnt in that spot and it just never healed. He didn't know. He had no idea. It's such bullshit. They're literally grasping straws. So it's like, well, no, because what they've done, because they've made the sun feel as if it's not essential, that it's something for us to be scared of. And instead, it does the opposite. So did you know things like sunglasses, sunscreen, those affect the absorption of sun into your body and causes to many, many different ailments in your body. We need to be exposed to the sun. So I remember a few years back when I was getting into my conspiracy theories, one of these guys suggested, he's like, depending on your skin tone, and I have another article here that says how little doses, how much you need of sun you need, how much sun do you actually need to absorb? So his whole thing is like, you get seasonal depression because your lack of vitamin D. Why do you have a lack of vitamin D? It's because you're not exposed to the sun. And in the wintertime, you have less sun. So what he was suggesting, he goes, go to a vacation if you can, somewhere warm. Doesn't matter where it is. And depending on your skin, the lighter you are, the less sun. Every single day, you should have anywhere between 5 and above 30 minutes of non-sunscreen skin so you can absorb the amount of vitamin D, and that'll carry you through the winter. It'll lead to less seasonal depression. It'll lead to a better sex drive. It'll lead to better immunity. This is why he hadn't had a cold in 30 years. I mean, that because when he started realizing that the sun increases your immunity, affects, again, like mental health, everything. And even here, there's an article over here by WebMD. How much is enough? The answer is different for everyone. It depends on your skin tone, age, health, history, diet, and where you live. In general, scientists think 5 to 15 minutes, up to 30 minutes if you're dark skinned, is about right to get the most out of causing any health problems. Now, the disclaimer is also saying a couple of things. They're like, well, we can't prove that sunscreen is causing cancer. I'd like to say, well, it's kind of bullshit, because the chemicals, if you read the chemicals that are in a bottle, like you wouldn't ingest them, but you're putting them on your skin, and your body, the epidermis is
going in your bloodstream.
It's like a sponge. It's going into your bloodstream, 100%.
Yeah.
So it's affecting you.
Yeah.
Right?
So I have some perhaps opposing thoughts to this, right? With this,
I have a thought why we get cancer, but anyway, I want to hear yours.
well, it's regarding the sun, right? So they're saying that we're not supposed to be in the sun for a long period of time because you're going to get sunburn or something like that.
Or they just want to keep you sick.
They're going to keep you sick. So I don't think this
send you drugs, give you drugs.
I don't think the sun has any negatives at all to begin with. Do you agree?
Well, it can burn you. Like you've seen those leathered people on the beach. They've been overexposed, but how come they don't have cancer? Have you seen those people, those white people that look like they're darker than you and their skin is like a leather and it's gross? That's kind of gross aesthetically wise, but hey, they're thriving.
Yeah. But the thing is, when you look at the sun, right? And when we talk about the Bible, right? When God created the earth, right? He put the moon and the sun, right? The moon is a lot more, it's feminine in nature. It actually kind of goes with like the cycle of a woman.
Well, there's two lights in the world. There's the sun and the moon.
Exactly, right? And then the sun, which is like the masculine. So he talks about the son of God. The sun actually activates your pineal gland, right? Which is like...
Oh, this new age bullshit you always talk about. Fuck, I get this pineal.
No. Because when the sun... That's why we're talking about the sunglasses. When you don't wear sunglasses, when the sun goes in your eyes,
your eyes absorb the sun rays.
Exactly.
I always kind of like, because when I was in the new age, they talk about this pineal gland. So I'm sorry, I have a knee-jerk reaction when people talk about the pineal or pineal gland, all this. I think it's fucking bullshit. I'm like, it drives me nuts. As a Christian, you shouldn't be believing this bullshit. It's part of a whole system that works together.
But you see, the pineal gland is being calcified by the stuff that we do. So the pineal gland is actually where you have your psychic abilities.
Start talking about vibrations, I'm ending this thing right now.
But it is vibrations. It's vibrations.
God is not in vibrations. Stop fucking saying there's vibrations. There's not. It's not the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It is not the same thing,
bro.
You've been so fucking like mesmerized, so been like indoctrinated. It's not the same.
There's no
Go back to your Bible. Go back to your Bible.
It's the same Bible. It's the same
fucking vibration bullshit.
It is. I'm telling you.
The only thing that vibrates is in my fucking iPhone when I'm getting a phone call. All right?
You are vibration. You are a vibrational being.
We are spiritual beings.
We are
going through a human journey.
Okay, we are.
You understand what you're saying is new age.
It's not, but let me connect.
You understand.
Let me connect.
What the devil has told you is what you're saying to me is trying to say is Christian.
Let me connect it.
I'm just telling you.
Okay.
You heard that, Sean, right? Put that on record.
All right. So look, God exists in all of us. We are made in the image of God, right?
Correct.
Consciousness exists within all of us. Everything is consciousness. Your plant right there, your money tree, that's a God consciousness that exists within that tree.
Sounds very new age, buddy.
All right. You as a man, you are living on a earth which is an electrical grid, right? We spoke about flat earth. This is an electrical grid. Everything exists as above, so below. Mm-hmm. Everything within the earth is based off energy, and the sun gives the plants and gives everything energy. The sun is our energy conductor as our bodies. So that's why when we say we eat fruits, we're eating like earthly foods which have been grown through the plants, I mean, the ground, like the apples, whatever, the trees and everything like that. When we talk about frequency, vibration, and energy, those are all things that we're supposed to lift our energy up to Christ consciousness. So when we say frequency and vibration, it's...
I'm just not agreeing with you.
Why don't you agree?
Because I was part of the New Age, and the stuff, those exact words you're using, they're using. So once you've been in the New Age, you know there's trigger points. And the whole thing it does, it gets you away from God. Listen, I understand what you're saying. You have good intentions, but be careful down the road, your path that you're going. I'm just being honest. When you say things like Christ conscience, that's a fucking satanic sentence. And do your research on it too. Stop. I'm just saying, and you talk about vibrations. So listen, we are made in the image of God. I 100% of that. The sun gives us power because God made the two. It's supposed to light. It gives you vitamins. It gives you the breath of life. What he's done is giving us the nutrients for us to live. Not the vibration, all this stuff too. God has given us everything we needed to hear, right? And it's when we're blocking it away, which it affects us, because it's a way for them to get away from God, maybe, but that's a thing too. Great. We're talking actual physical things over here, which if bother you, when you say Christ conscious, I don't believe it. I believe wholeheartedly that Jesus is the Son of God. We have a Holy Trinity. He humbled himself to become God, and our devotion to him and what he chooses to do, it makes us who he is. By you praying every day, you get a relationship with him, not believing that a plant has a vibration and the world has a vibration. Because what you're doing is you're giving away the power from God and giving it to plants and animals and the world, which is a satanic doctrine.
But didn't he create the earth and everything within it?
Then give him the power and give him the glory.
I am giving him the power.
But you're not.
Yes, I am.
You're calling it as a conscious and has something. You're giving him, but you're taking away a piece of what he's saying.
I'm saying he created us and he created everything within this space, this realm that we live in. So
I'm just listen, all I'm telling you is the words you're using right now are the same shit I heard in New Age over and over again. And that's why it gives me the heebie-jeebies. It drives me nuts. All the pineal gland, the vibrations, the earth is a grid, the Christ conscience. Be very careful. You're going. Owen. We don't have to talk about this right now. But I'm just saying. I'm man to man. Be very careful.
Okay.
And I'm saying for your soul. I'm not even saying for me. Like our relationship will always be the same. We could talk about it. I'm not telling you not to talk about it. But like I was telling you, listen to Kieran, the rapper.
Yeah.
And he was making fun of it. He's talking about this vibration. I'm like, same thing that Owen was saying. He goes, he agrees with me. He's like, no, it's like, because he was in it too. Like when people are in the New Age and you come out of it and you see some of the stuff that's happening, you gotta stay away from certain things.
So from what I'm hearing, right? Because I'm just trying to get to like a level ground where I'm not saying we disagree, but I'm just trying to find maybe some commonalities or some words that I'm using.
Let's go back. Let's go back to maybe what the actual sun does for us in the body and physical, and then we can maybe relate it back to that.
Okay.
Because listen, what sunglasses does, and I'll see it over here. So sunglasses. So the reason why. So we're always believing, and maybe the conspiracy theory behind the theorist behind me is always where I'm like, well, how do they take control of us? Will they keep us sick, right? And how do they do that? Like, well, we need the sun. We need the vitamin D. We need vitamin D. And if you don't have vitamin D, what are some of the issues? So vitamin C deficiencies, for example. In case you don't know what vitamin D deficiencies are, like in case you're wondering it, you may not be sick. You might just be vitamin D deficient, right? So there's fatigue, there's bone pain, there's muscle weaknesses, there's mood changes, there's certain weight loss. You need some certain medications. It's related to cystic fibrosis, Crohn's disease, celiac disease, obesity, kidney and liver diseases by lack of vitamin D.
Yeah.
Now, if you go ahead and supplement it with too many vitamins, you can also cause kidney failure and stuff too, because you have to be careful because we're not getting the natural source. So, well, why do we have these deficiencies? Where did that start to come from? Well, think about it. If they keep us sick, that's what this is what conspiracy theory is. Like, there's two ways they do it. One was the sunscreen, because it blocks out the sun.
Okay.
The second one is using the sunglasses. That people don't realize. I stopped using sunglasses about a year ago. And once in a while, I'll throw them if I'm going to be exploded. Like we go on vacation, and I'll bring up on. It's sad because I have a lot of nice pairs of sunglasses, right? You're so mad at me right now.
I don't know. I'm not mad. I'm just.
But anyway, so my point is, so what they're doing, it's a form of control, right? As Lisa has sunglasses on her head. So what the sunglasses do, and it's like sunglasses blocks are over here. Why is the issue of sunglasses? It's because according to the commentator or whatever, sunglasses make brain think you're in the shade and do not trigger the correct process of absorption. That's what it's not about your pineal gland. It's tricky. Maybe it's all part of it. It's part of how your whole system works together. So I forget the name of the doctor that's on there too. He suggests at least 5 minutes a day. I have a sun lamp I use in the morning. It really helps, and you don't stare directly at it. He's like sunset or sundown between 5 to 10 minutes. What you need to do is if you want to absorb the sun, even in the wintertime, go outside, stare to the left, to the right, to the horizon of it. Don't directly look at it. And that'll help your absorption for the sun. Because what they got us doing is wearing, and all of a sudden with sunscreen was blocking the sun, they had to go one step further, and they made wearing sunglasses cool, along with smoking, right? Another thing they did. But sunglasses, unlike smoking, is not banned. And why is that? What do they tell you? Well, you need to protect your eyes. Well, we just heard over here that it's triggering your brain, so you're not even absorbing. So if you're out in the sun and everyone's wearing sunglasses already, if everybody's wearing sunglasses, they're not absorbing any of the sun. You're not getting the essential nutrients which God has set us up for, which your body craves and desires. So if you're not getting the absorption, well, you're sick. And you still heard about the diseases that have. What can they do? They can sell you drugs. And they keep you sick.
And it's a whole cycle.
If you're weak, if you ever need to, they can always overcome you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
My theory now is, well, what causes cancer then? So in the background, we talked the other day about seed oils from the rapeseed oil, which is canola oil. That one guy doesn't understand. They use the rapeseed to create canola oil. He's like, what's different? You don't know, but dude didn't look at his history where the canola oil came from. But
someone commented that?
Yeah, he was just an idiot. Anyway, he's like, you're talking about rapeseed, not talking about canola. I'm like, where do you think the canola oil came from? Anyway, it's a different story. But and do I have the thing over here? One with sunscreen, no glass block, vitamins feed. Anyway, one of the things. Maybe I didn't put it in here. Oh, sunscreen and cancer. So my theory is, not my theory, what I've read about other people, it's not even my theory. It's like, because of all the seed oils and all the crap that's been in our bodies, it's coming out of our pores. So somebody said it's very essential you eat natural fruits and stay away from processed foods, because that's what leads to skin cancer. Because the oil, which is not really absorbed in your body, comes out in your skin, and then the sun reflects off that skin, and it's burning, and it's causing the damages. I gotta find that article over here. It's buried in all of these. And there's so many of them too. But I know where it is. I think I could sort it. I think I put it over here. So give me a second here. But yeah, it made sense, right? And it was like, sorry for ripping on you for the. So I think it was over here. Like, seed oil is the real cause of skin cancer. So there's an article, right? If you Google, it's called reallytanman.suntac.com. It's called Tanland, Natural Health and Beauty. Seed oil is the real cause of cancer. And if you tan without screen, you will be well-meaning, but you'll enjoy it anyway. So he goes on to say, and he's one of these people said before, the history of skin cancer. And you look over here again. So here's another graph of the history of skin cancer. And obviously the increase started to happen after 1940 when sunscreen was introduced. And then it talks about the mechanisms of skin cancer. And he talks about too. So their whole thing is like your body's not absorbing those skin oil, or when your body absorbs those seed oils, which our bodies are never really supposed to digest because there are a bunch of free radicals happening. It comes on your skin. Remember, your skin and the epidermis is an organ. Yeah. So if it's one of the last places that it comes out. So if you're feeding yourself toxic oils, the toxic oils are coming out, and that's the issues that's coming up. So this causing that. Your diet is more a cause of skin cancer
than the sun.
Correct.
Yeah. So to wrap that part of the sun up, right? Where did you think I was coming from? Like when you're saying new age.
Well, because with the New Age stuff too, it's like, oh, everything is kind of connected, and then there's a Godhead, and everyone works in harmony together, and it affects things. And what it does is it removes God as the orchestrator of your life, right? And that's the problem. And it almost puts you as the Godhead because you want to have Christ conscience. So what happens with Christ conscience? When you're removing Christ as Lord, and so because it's all part of the conscience, and now He goes into heaven, everybody has the same conscience. It's not. There's a whole thing on Christ conscious in the New Age that you need to, and then we can have a discussion about it. I think that'd be a good pod for you to actually to do some
because my belief is this is like God, if we're made in the image of God, if we're the children of God, I'm saying is to buttress your point, right? If we are the children of God, if we're made in the image of God, doesn't God exist within all of us? Like,
of course,
yeah.
But no, not in the sense that you're thinking of, but we are made in the image of God, and we breathe, we say His name over and over again. So we are a created being.
Yeah.
But it's not like He has a piece of us and all of it. We're a created being under Him, right? So the way you're saying it is a piece of you is created as part of God. That's not true.
It's not true.
We were created. I can create this computer. I'm not part of the computer, but blood, sweat, and tears went into it.
So you're saying God created us, but as God's beings, we're just beings. We don't have any part of God within us.
Not the way you think it of. So we are spiritual beings. We want to be with God. So when we resonate with God, we'll be with Him.
Yeah.
And honoring Him.
Yeah.
As a created being. We don't change from who we are as humans. Right? Christ is no longer when He came down, He's going to be a human forever. So, but it doesn't mean I'm part of Him. I'm not His finger, His toenail, or something else. It doesn't and none of your consciences are together. Like God can read your conscience and your thoughts and your mind, so He knows you because that's how He created us. But I can't pull His knowledge from His head. He's got to bestow, but the Holy Spirit has to enter and give you that knowledge. You understand the difference? The way you're making it sound is like you're part of the created. And if we're all part of this conscience, that means you're also God. And that was the first lie that the devil gave in the Garden of Eden. So that's why I said be very careful when you're saying about Christ conscience and what that actually means. Because the way you're using it, it's not the correct way that they use it. So be very careful.
Well, that was episode 91. We'd love to get your thoughts on this. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, share your thoughts on this conversation and this polarizing, what I think, what I've come to believe, and what DC believes, and what he's sharing me his points that he's learned. Maybe I just need to educate myself more on this topic, the way that I see it. But DC, any parting words?
Yeah, man. First off, I love you, and I appreciate this talk. Don't because it's I didn't mean to. Sometimes it strikes a chord in me, and I wanted to know. I'm very passionate about it, and I'm very passionate, and I'm very protective of my God and how He's relayed and how He's in our world. So there's been so many negative things that don't. It just didn't resonate. Like it hit a trigger point, as you see, right? So again, doesn't mean we've talked about this before. We can have differences of opinion, but it doesn't mean I love you any less. And
of course.
I didn't want people to say that. The second thing is I appreciate that. It's like, but we have to be careful moving forward with the sun. I think the sun is not your enemy, and I think we could help ourselves. You have to do your own research on it too to see what matters to you. I went away for 4 days in the Bahamas. Like we're there for basically worked out 4 days. The last couple of days, I didn't even wear any sunscreen. I didn't really burn, and as I do, sun, it's like I felt fine. You know what I mean? Like it's you just got to be careful what the media tells you. There's always an agenda behind it.
Absolutely. All right. We'll see you next week for episode 92. And this has been the DC Talks podcast. I've been your co-host, Agent Below, with the main man, my freaking guy, David Chinelli. And we'll see you again for the next episode. Peace.